The Empire took everything. My purpose, my power, my place in this galaxy. So now I hide in its shadows, speaking into the void through these strange transmissions, podcasts. Pathetic. And yet, here you are. If the galaxy has no place for monsters, perhaps we make one. This is Project Geekology, episode 161. Tonight, Maul Shadow Lord. Hi guys, my name's Dakota. I'm 1/3 of your host tonight. Joined as always as
Anthony, and I don't think I have anything special to add to that. But yes, we are going to be covering Maul Shadow Lord. It just ended on was it Star Wars Day, right? I think
May the 4th be with you.
Yep. And joining us as always is
Rich. Dakota, that was an amazing Vario impression. I gotta say, or was that Two Boots? I'm trying.
That was Two Boots. Yeah, no, that was absolutely Two Boots.
I'm really excited to talk about this Maul show. Do I have my Maul socks on? No. I think I've got Kylo Ren socks on. I grabbed the wrong pair this morning. But either way, I'm ready. I'm all Star Wars'd up and excited to talk about this show.
All right. So before we get into it, we are missing now a recurring guest. Jen, my wife, is under the weather this week, and she's taking a back seat. She's in bed now, but the show must go on. So we are going to continue talking about what we do best here, nonsense. And to do that, we're going to start us off with Anthony. What have you been up to, my friend?
What have I been up to? I have been playing that gacha game, the NTE, Neverness to Everness. They just dropped a new banner. I got that new character, Hotori. I actually literally just pulled her today. I think she dropped last night, and I started last night and I got a couple of her items and like the skin, and then I finally actually got the character. So I'm already on that front. Also this past weekend, I decided to go to the movies and see Mortal Kombat 2.
Nice.
It was fun. I mean, like the first one, it was fun. I feel like I enjoyed the originals a little bit more, even though they were super campy. But like these were still like pretty good. Like, I mean, well, pretty decent for what we got.
I still have yet to watch the first one.
What?
But yeah, I turned it on one time, and Jen's like, "What is this?" And we just didn't continue past that point. But eventually, I will catch it on some syndication or other.
Nice.
Our the giant of a man, Ted Turner, rest in peace. That like TBS, I think I feel like TBS played like Mortal Kombat like a lot. Like I just caught it I would catch it in pieces by accident. Like I didn't even like want to, and it just pulled me in. Would you say that Ant, did you feel like, I don't know, because I'm trying to remember, like Mortal Kombat like was a huge game for me when I was growing up. Like it was controversial, and some kids weren't allowed to play it, and we had to like sneak it at other people's houses. So like the movie coming out was a big deal, and I think that, like you said, it was really campy, but I overlooked it. Did you have any kind of ties to it going into it, or did you just like the originals?
I did actually grow up playing Mortal Kombat. I think I played it on Sega Genesis.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I
think that, yeah, like my dad had a bunch of consoles. He had Sega Genesis, he had Nintendo 64, the Super Nintendo. Like, I mean, he was pretty much like, him growing up is essentially like how I am now. Like he would just he was all about like getting the new consoles, getting the games and stuff. So Yeah, he had Mortal Kombat. He had a few of them. I remember playing it on Sega. I don't remember if I ever remember playing it on Super Nintendo. Because I know that they had them on Super Nintendo also,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm pretty sure it was Sega. And he had like, it was crazy because he had like regular controllers, but the one that I played with the most was like it was like the hit stick one,
Okay, yeah.
but like it was like the arcade.
Oh.
So yeah, that's the controller I used to use like the most playing
I,
games on the Sega Genesis. But yeah, man, yeah, I grew up playing Mortal Kombat, but like over the years, like I would play some here and there. Like I wasn't like I'm playing it every year. I think the only fighting games that I really play like mostly are like Super Smash Brothers,
no,
and it's like not even and it's not even like regularly. But if I was to buy and play a fighting game, it would be Super Smash Brothers. But yeah, no, I definitely I grew up playing Mortal Kombat. I remember thinking like the graphics looked weird because they kind of looked like real people
mm-hmm.
put into the game, and then like later on I found out that that's because they were real people, just like superimposed on video game characters. But yeah, it's yeah, I grew up on it. How about you, Dakota? What have you been up to?
Well, I didn't see Mortal Kombat 2, but I did play a little bit of NTE. I have been trying to. I haven't put a bunch of hours into it, but I have put a handful, and I am really enjoying it. I think I think I mentioned it last week, but I'm really finding that the world is really immersive. You can pretty much talk to almost every NPC, and there's like a lot of them. The amount of stuff there is to do in this mobile game slash well, it's on PlayStation as well, but the fact that it's optimized for mobile. And I think it's intended to be a mobile game because it's a gacha game. I feel like most gacha games are mobile games. The fact that there's so much to do, like there's even like racing, like
Really?
sub mini games. There's tons and tons of quests. You have event stuff that gets added into the game regularly, and it's only been out for like 2 weeks now, and it's already massive. Like I'm very very impressed just with the amount of stuff there is to do. The story is somewhat engaging. It kind of follows a almost like anime. It kind of reminds me. It's nothing like this, but it kind of reminds me of Fairy Tail, the anime, where a guy like he joins a guild and they go on quests and do different adventures out like with the guild. It kind of feels like that. So I like that. But I did do something new this week that I think is really worth your time. I read a new book called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And
I've heard about that. I think there's a show being made about it.
I hope there's a show being made because it's definitely going to be like massive. So the best way I can probably put it is take Sword Art Online, add in like the Mojo verse from like the X-Men game or the X-Men series, like the intergalactic TV series, the Mojo verse, and a little bit of Hunger Games mechanics, like background mechanics, and kind of mash that into one. And it's basically the short like back of the book premise would be like all of a sudden most of the world is killed as all buildings are flattened. Anyone under a roof is immediately instantly killed at like 2:23 in the morning on January 3rd, whatever. But from anyone who is outside continues to live and is invited to join the dungeon for the amusement of an intergalactic audience. Basically, like there are 18 floors in this dungeon. each floor getting progressively harder. And you follow a guy named Carl, who, it's 2:23 in the morning. He was basically, the only reason he was outside was because his ex-girlfriend's cat jumped out the window, so he was trying to get the cat back inside. So he's wearing boxers and like no shoes throughout the entire book.
That sounds like an anime for sure.
And the humor is amazing. It's pretty much as soon as he enters the dungeon, and he becomes a crawler, because he's the first person ever to like bring a cat into the dungeon, he gets a special biscuit for the cat, and the cat is now able to talk, so it's no longer a pet, but it's also it's another crawler in his party. So it's like he has a talking cat that still acts and is basically a cat, that eventually gets the power to like shoot like missiles out of its head, and it's the funniest story ever. And so it's kind of cool because like they go on these like adventures, and you start seeing how they're leveling each of their characters' stats, and interacting with other people. And there's I don't want to say that there's like a whole lot of heart yet, but I can tell that's where the story's going because I've only read the first book. There's literally 8 books.
Oh.
Like I think the 8th book just came out last week. Apparently, like people love this series. So I mean, I've only read the first book, but I'm really, really enjoying it. I just think it's such a clever concept. It's a clever mashup of like lit RPG and game show mechanics in the vein of like Hunger Games and Mojoverse, basically.
So yeah, it's in development. There's a TV show in development for Peacock.
Peacock.
Yeah.
It's does Peacock have like mature shows, or is it only? Because Peacock's NBC.
Yeah.
I know that.
Anyway,
I know
it's a very like mature book in terms of like there's a lot of cursing, there's a lot of like crazy antics that just go on because you are basically reading about a bunch of adults who are trying to survive in this crazy world that everything is pitted against them. But yeah. So what were you saying, Anthony? What about Peacock?
They possibly do. They did do that reboot of the Fresh Prince, but like not funny, but and like serious.
Terrible.
So, and it looks like it doesn't look like a kid shows or like a show that like that's family friendly. So who knows? Possibly.
Yeah, I was listening to it and I'm thinking this would make a great movie, but when I realized that this is like a series of books, it would play much better as a TV show, because there's like a TV show within the series that they are basically like every 30 hours they have like a highlight reel of like all the dungeon crawlers from across Earth basically doing crazy stuff, and eventually these guys, Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, become like intergalactically famous, and it's just so good. It's really fun. I told my dad about it yesterday, and he calls me today. He goes, "Hey, your mom's reading your book." I'm like, "What do you mean?" "The book you told me about, Dungeon Crawler Carl, your mom's reading it." I was just like, "That's random." But anyway, that's what I've been up to. Let's throw it over to Rich.
Yeah, I'm not super exciting the last couple of weeks. Last week, I'm still mired. I'm in my second week of testing, running tests at school, so it's kind of hectic.
Oof. You have had a bunch of testing the past couple of weeks. Is that over, or are you continuing your testing?
I have so the next time we record, I will be in a celebratory mood because I'll be done. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also more excited, looking forward to, I'm going to wait a little bit, but I'm getting I've made it very clear to my family that my birthday and Father's Day are, very close together every year. So I was like, "Hey, you guys hear about that Lego Batman? It looks great." And I was watching like some videos, very obviously on YouTube, like reviews. and put the volume very loud, like when Lauren was sitting next to me. So I'm hoping that very shortly, gents, I can talk about that, because did you know that they've included the song "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal? They're doing the ad campaign for it. Everything, it looks great. I love Lego games. It's it excites the completionist in me, right? Like, the Lego games are a real goal. Like, I don't think there's been a Lego game that I've played except for the Lord of the Rings one, which I don't know. I think it's because it's a little bit older and I played it out of kind of order. So I've played the newer ones and it's a little clunkier. But other than that, I've like 100% like platinumed every single one. And I used to say, "Oh, this is because I'm playing with my son," and I'd be like, "Hey, babe, I'm just teaching Charlie how to play video games." And he started when he was like 3, and really, it was just so I could play those games. I love them, so I'm really excited about the Batman game. It looks great.
Sweet. Shall we jump into Maul Shadow Lord?
Let's do it.
I just love the way this guy speaks. So forgive me for the cringe opener. According to Jen, I sound kind of like Maul when I do that. That's in my head how my cat talks. Like every night he wants us to throw around his little his like mice toys. He gets like really excited before bed to play fetch with mice, basically. So in my head, I'm like, it's time to throw the vermin. Like that's how I imagine he talks. But anyway, what's up with this guy? Like, why is he so hateful? Like, what's his story? How do you guys interpret this madman?
Well, first, Sam Witwer is unbelievable. I almost think that Sam Witwer like knows Maul better than like Dave Filoni will ever know Maul, in a way. Like he's so tied to the character that I'm so glad they got him to do the voice, and I think he's just so amazing at playing a guy that you don't really get. We're even, we'll talk about it later, but episode 8, my goodness, like Whitner goes on record to basically say that episode 8 was like meant to confuse people and like demonstrate that Maul is in some ways also an unreliable narrator. So there's just, I thought this was masterful. It's definitely a show that requires like intense watching. I in this age, where a lot of watching can be done with your phone, like the silent moments are important. Like everything matters here.
Yeah. That's actually a good read on it. And I was kind of in the wrong headspace when I was watching this, I think, because I was a little bit distracted throughout most of it. I mean, I was with it, I was watching it and everything, but I didn't have my it didn't capture my full attention like other Star Wars shows have in the past. And I kind of regret not my attitude, but just like the mindset that I was in when I was watching it, because it's instant. You can tell it's so good. You could tell the art style is so beautiful. The still backgrounds with the moving characters in front of them. I love that so much because it kind of evokes the original trilogy, like in the sense that like a lot of like the bigger sci-fi backdrops that they had back then were actually matte paintings, and like a corner slice of that image was dedicated to what they actually recorded on film. And they actually did stuff like that with this, where they in certain scenes, like especially establishing shots, they would have just a painted background, and the characters would move in front of it. I love that stuff. I thought that was such a cool homage to that. But going back to what you're saying about how this, like, every little thing is important, it's a sleeper hit for sure. Like it's I don't want to say it's like Andor, in the sense of like maturity, but it's definitely not. It's not a children's cartoon. What are your thoughts, Ant? Spy Ant, according to your Zoom username.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. One of my favorite things are the hand painted backgrounds. Even the characters themselves, you can tell that they're like hand painted. That the art style is, you see the imperfections in like the coloring, but it really adds to the character of the show. And I came into the show, like pretty much like with the mindset like, okay, this, I've heard really good things about it, so I was like, let me see what this is about. And it grabbed me just like right away, absolutely grabbed me. And yeah, it's definitely not a children's show. it definitely it definitely draws some inspiration, though. It leans a little bit more on like probably the latter seasons of like the Clone Wars, and then with some maturity injected in it from like maybe like Andor, but not as mature. Like like anybody could watch this, but like this is, I mean, there are some stakes in this show. Like people die in this show, and it, like, dude, I absolutely loved it. It's definitely up there with me. It's up there with, as far as like animated shows, it's up there with me, up there with Clone Wars, because you know how absolutely I love Clone Wars, especially the latter seasons. This does it for me.
Going back to like the art style, it's been kind of cool seeing the progression of the animation studio within Lucasfilm over the past decades. Starting with, I mean, you could start with the Genndy Clone Wars like 2D series that they did for Cartoon Network, but moving into like the actual canon stuff, we do have a lot of really cool. They kind of just played it straight with like a CG world with Clone Wars. Then they went a little bit more stylistic with Rebels, where the characters were a little more elongated, a little skinnier. Lightsabers were a lot skinnier. They ended up keeping the lightsabers skinny past that point, but the character profiles eventually shifted back to Clone Wars with the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Bad Batch, they started doing a textured look that you can really see play out to great effect with Maul, because by the time you're at Maul, like every frame looks like a painting, and I think that it's just such a cool transition stylistically. And actually, episode 8, that's the one with the flashbacks,
Mm-hmm.
correct? You actually do get some flashbacks to Clone Wars models,
Mm-hmm.
like the Emperor Palpatine's like very, very distinct chin from Clone Wars. I thought that was pretty fun. But you got a couple different styles in those flashbacks that, I don't know. I think just stylistically, I feel like this is such an important show for Lucasfilm. And there were a couple shots where I was just like, oh, that's a great shot. That's great blocking. That's great lighting. Just the framework and directing. Overall, I think that was, for me, the highlight with this series.
What did you guys think about, since we're talking about kind of the aspects, how about the voice acting? Were you good with the choices they made?
I There was one choice I didn't care for. I liked pretty much everything. I didn't feel like Dennis Haysbert was the right voice for Master. What's his name? Ikodaki.
Are you familiar with Dennis Haysbert's work? Anthony, are you?
I mean, I've seen him in things. I don't like. I don't follow his career. But yeah, I've definitely
Straight ball,
seen him.
I hit very much. Curveball, bats are afraid. That's why I ask Joe Boo to help.
Oh yeah, he was in Major League.
He was in Major League.
Yes.
I was so excited to hear his voice. So like for me, it was kind of like a little bit of a. I enjoyed him. Obviously, Witwer is amazing. Do you guys know who Brender Lawson is? Who's the voice actor who played him is? It's the actor who played Pablo Escobar on Narcos. So I had no idea that he was actually bilingual, and I was looking it up, and I was like, wait, who? and I clicked, and sure enough, it's our good old friend Pablo Escobar. Just sitting there alone.
Yeah,
on a bench,
that's true.
Sitting alone in a room.
I did like his voice.
Great, right?
I thought that his Latin accent really added some character to the team. I'm looking at the cast now. I did not realize Chris Diamantopoulos, which is he's been in a couple things. He was in Arrested Development. He was the guy with the face blindness in season 4 of Arrested Development. But he's also like he's been the voice of like Mickey Mouse for the past like decade. So like he's just got a very just a very diverse voice. But yeah, I didn't really like Master Ikodaki's voice. I wanted him to. He kind of reminded me of like Master Splinter. And I wanted that voice. Like that's the voice that I kind of like felt would have fit. I still like the character, but they all die like chumps anyway.
Well, what did you think, Anthony? Did you like most of the choices they made?
Yeah, I don't think I had any gripes with any of the voice casting. I think that they did a great job. I mean, what was being performed in the voice and what was being shown on the screen was done well. I absolutely I would say that there's very little that I could say that I don't like about this show. And I'm trying to think of things that I probably have gripes of, but nothing comes to my mind right now.
Who's your favorite? I'm going to say, like, because Maul is kind of like the protagonist, I would say. Like, if you like look at it from, right?
Yeah, I mean...
He's a prantagonist.
Yeah, because he's so weird. Because he's not. What's weird about him is that he's not like Full Sail, Breaking Bad, right? Like he's not completely. It's like he's really out for himself more than like just being evil. Like it seemed like he was fighting along Master Splinter. I can't remember his actual name. And it seemed like they were working together and everything was going well, and then he just like doesn't help, and it makes it weird. Like, so who's the like at the end of the last episode? Like, is there a good guy? Is there any good guy in this at all? That lives on, right? Because Lawson seems a little bit dirty. I mean, his son Riley seems pretty pure. We know that Devin, she's got her leanings now. I mean,
This is honestly the route that the Book of Boba Fett should have taken, because Boba Fett is not a good guy. He shouldn't be. There was no reason for them to make him a like a good character, right? I liked the idea of him, like becoming a mob boss, but at least do a little bit of what he's known for, which is bounty hunting at the same time. Not just like becoming daimyo of a boss or daimyo of a crime syndicate and deciding we're gonna turn this city around, like that. What were they thinking? With Maul, they know who this character is. They know where he's got to end, and they don't make any. I don't think in terms of like his arc, it's perfect. Like he's still on this, this path where the whole galaxy has let him down. Like he was promised huge things. He was going to be the second in command Sith, and he was for a brief period of time, and then he decided he was going to go on a speeder chase, almost run down a little boy in the middle of Tatooine. Like he was about to run down little Annie, and then 30 years later, little Annie's not so little anymore, is he?
Isn't that insane? Like that we got that in this show. That like
I love that he doesn't even talk. I love that he doesn't even talk.
Yeah.
He's just like,
and it's so amazing. What I love about Anakin here, man, is the way like he obviously Darth, right? Not only is he silent, but like the way he fights, he's not even like trying to really outsword you, right? He's just like, I'm gonna drop things on you all the time. Like he's just using the element, like the telekinesis part so effectively that it's like he's learned, like he doesn't even need to be a good fighter, and that's such a departure from Anakin. And I loved watching it here because it's like that early where he still could be that sword fighter, but he's not anymore. He's just a bruiser.
And I love how quickly Maul realized what he was dealing with. Where, just maybe 30 seconds into his fight with Vader, he realized, you're not an Inquisitor, are you?
You know what I also liked, and this is something that you don't really think about, especially with the original movies, is that, is Darth Vader is he really known? Like, he might be known to a small group of people, maybe even in the originals, like the Rebels, they knew, they probably heard of things, but like commoners, did they really know who Darth Vader was? Like Darth Maul, like went up against him. He's like, I know this is fairly short, like after, this is shortly after, what do you call it? Order 66. And it kind of gets you thinking, like, there's obviously a lot of people out there that know that, or that they don't know about Vader. They know about the Emperor because he's more of like he's a figurehead, but like Vader's essentially the Emperor's shadow, right? The person that you don't want to see.
He's a Shadow Lord. Yeah. What I like about
That's good.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. No, you're onto something, Anthony. Like Vader is not well known in the galaxy. He is not a figurehead like Palpatine, where he eventually he every now and then goes on the HoloNet and tells the galaxy how prosperous everything is. He is in the background doing Sith stuff. Like it's only pretty much in the later years of the Empire, like at the Galactic Civil War, the rebellion and everything. That's when he really attaches himself to the goings on in the Empire, and he's always Empire adjacent throughout this period of 19 years or whatever. He's always Empire adjacent because obviously his master's the Emperor and he lives on a Star Destroyer. But in terms of like the everyday dude, no, they actually made like a a series of comics. I forget what the name of the comic was now, but basically it was like myths and legends that people had of Vader from across the galaxy. Like he was this mythological bad guy that just popped up every now. He's a boogeyman, you know? And that's basically what happened here. He just kind of showed up and breathed really heavy and just started like tearing down folks.
He's essentially a boogeyman, like for real though.
He's a
like,
boogeyman. He didn't say a single word this entire show. Like
you don't want to go up against Vader at all.
Yeah. Did you guys know that, like, when the Inquisitor was just like talking to someone on like hologram, did you pick up that it was going to be Vader, or did you think, oh, maybe it's Palpatine, oh, maybe it's first brother, or anything like that? What did you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, I've also played the what games are they?
I thought it was the other one that showed up, the hooded one.
Okay.
I thought it was. I guess maybe it's just because of what's the Cal Kestis game? The 2 game.
Force Unleashed.
Yeah, the Force Unleashed. No, that's. Why are you? You're messing me up. Force Unleashed is
Star Killer is in the show.
Sam Witwer.
Sam Witwer.
Yeah, I love that game. No, but the one with Kestis, where you're fighting. Pardon, the Inquisitors. So they reported. Fallen Order. They reported to Vader in that. So I'll be honest with you, like nothing. I can't tell you that anything from the show told me it was Vader. I just was like, oh, that's Vader, you know. So when he came out, I was like, like there he goes, that's Vader.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was also remember the lesser Inquisitors also reported to the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh, true.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been.
But
the
wasn't
Grand
the
Inquisitor
Grand
too.
Inquisitor? See, that's where this is where the games, because like I thought he was like horribly injured or something. So I wasn't. I wish that there was like a timeline so I would have been able to know this. I don't know if anyone does that, but
this is early on in the Empire days. This is, I don't remember how short after Order 66, but it's there.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, like either way.
Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is definitely around.
Because the Fallen Order games happened like right after the Clone Wars, I thought, or
no, he
10 years maybe.
He lives probably, I think it's like
okay.
10
all
years.
Right, so my apologies. Yeah, either way, I guess I was just presumptive. Maybe I just wanted it to be Vader. You know, like I wanted to see Vader.
Yeah, I expected Vader personally, just because that's who the Inquisitorius reports to. Like that's who they're under. So I was just like, Lord, I guess it could be Palpatine, but why would they be talking to Palpatine? Guess it could be the Grand Inquisitor, but they don't really call him Lord. Could be Vader, and I was just like, oh no, it's definitely going to be Vader. Like that's why else would I? That's a conversation I had in my head. Oh, you know what really bothered me? Speaking of like a great show that like I have like an irrational hatred for, like one little aspect of this. The title cards, the episode titles.
Sorry.
No,
I saw this on Twitter.
Yeah, I posted about it on Twitter. Basically, it became very obvious to me that the titles were off center. Like the chapter title, like the chapter number, like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then there was a line underneath. And then underneath that line is the episode title. Sometimes it would be like significantly off to the left and sometimes off to the right. And very few times out of these 10 episodes was it like notably centered. And it was more often than not like several spaces off center. And it really bugged me because I could tell as a creator that this was not an intentional choice. Like it was intentionally made. Whoever did the title cards just, typed it in, exported, typed it in, exported, typed it in, exported 10 times. They didn't look at it. You need to look at this stuff because like that really bothers. Anthony, I'm gonna send you those title cards.
Something that I did really enjoy, and it brought me back to the prequels, were scene transitions. Did you notice like how the scene transitions were very like prequel-esque, where they would kind of like the scene would kind of close in on itself?
Yeah, I like that. I mean, even like during just the musical notes that they hit during some during that fight between Maul and Master and Vader, and you hear Darth Vader's theme playing as they're battling. Just
Master Eco Dio.
Yep,
Daki.
never happening. Sorry, that's one syllable too much. Maybe I don't know. I can't follow along. I mean, it reminded me of Avatar, man. Just no memorable names, you know.
True. Did you remember Devin?
I did.
They never tell
That's
her.
Not fair though. I have.
They never tell us the last name, but she does have one.
I dated Devin,
yeah.
so that was kind of easy for me to remember. If they would just contact me and just ask me like all my former flames, then I would remember every name. Like Master didn't have a girlfriend for 2 years, you know, that I'd remember that one, you know.
Master Iko Diodaki.
You're just showing off now. Anthony, do you know his name?
What, Daki?
Yeah, what's his full name?
I mean, Dakota just
Yeah, Master Iko Diodaki.
I mean, you don't need to really know the like full name as long as you know Daki. That's it. Like that's all you need to know.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, who do you guys think is the true villain of this story?
The Emperor. I mean, he's
Anthony?
the right. Like he doesn't have to be in it necessarily for us to know that like he's what he did with Maul was crazy because like he turned his back on like the Sith have like you know obviously very little allegiance to each other generally, but he just like hypes this guy up and then like he makes him a really tortured soul. And he does the same to Anakin. I mean, like, he's just the worst. Like, he takes these people and makes their lives terrible, all for his benefit. So I just find both of them, they're literally the children of a really, like, warped and twisted father, right? Like, if you take kids, they have that whole nature versus nurture, you know? And you are really terrible to those kids. You know, you can raise them in a way where they become like this. And he's had his hand in the formative years of both of these people.
You know who I think is the true villain of this story? Two Boots. Two Boots is the actual villain of this story. Multiple times, this guy's like, don't do it. Don't do it. I'll turn you off if you do it. No, seriously, Two Boots. Let's roll it back. We don't want this. These people do not belong here. Two Boots, don't do it. Two Boots does it. Two Boots ruins everybody's life.
Dude, seriously, like the absolute worst that could happen, like actually happened. Like everything that he said was going to happen literally happened.
Oh my gosh. I do like Two Boots just because it's a droid named Two Boots. He wears two boots until he doesn't. And you know why? Because the Emperor. Because you, Two Boots, did this to yourself. And you know he never says sorry. He just never does. He? I don't think he does.
Apologizes for turning him off, and then he's like, the next day or something, like you know, Lawson's like still being a little kind of gentle with him, and he says something like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'm not angry at you for shutting me off anymore. Like we can move on." So like in Two Boots's like
yes.
Matrix, like
I was holding my head like I cannot believe this guy's just gonna let Two Boots off with a don't worry about it, buddy. Yeah, you're focusing on the wrong thing here, Two Boots. Your huge mistake is the reason these Inquisitors have taken my son.
Dude, seriously. I really liked Lawson a lot though. I thought his character was I liked it's like we got we did a detective movie last week, and then now we have a show with like one of the main characters is a detective also. And I mean, dude, I thought his character was awesome. I like that he is very, he doesn't like the Empire, and he didn't buy the lie of like the Jedi, which gets you thinking, like, if you have a character like that, like how many other people were like, there's no way, so I really do. I thought his character was cool. Dude, the action in this show, insane.
Yeah. The whole like 9th and 10th episodes were like half the 9th episode and the full 10th episode was just like a one prolonged fight sequence. I actually really liked Iko Diodaki quite a bit. I liked just his calm demeanor. He kind of reminded me of like a Qui-Gon type character, where you knew he was gonna, as soon as Maul starts fighting a Padawan and a Master, the Master's gonna not make it. It didn't actually happen at Maul's hands, but Anthony, you mentioned the action. I decided I was gonna like take a screenshot from episode 9 where like 5 Force users clash lightsabers at the same time. I don't think there's ever been a scene like that ever, where there's two light side, one like guy in between, and then two obviously bad guys, clashing lightsabers at the exact same moment. I think that's such a cool scene.
Yeah.
I had to like go back. Like I watched that. I was just like, I have to watch that again.
Yeah. No. I thought that was awesome. We got a lot of that. I think that this is when they were trying to escape, like in that, like when they went underground, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of like really cool scenes. I really like the development of Darth Maul. Like over the years, he was essentially a toss-away character until we got him in Clone Wars, right? Or, I mean, I think they had him in some other like media, but as far as like a show, that's when we got him again. And so like just over the years of like what he experienced throughout the Clone Wars, it was, we got a culmination of that in this show. Like he has nothing, he really doesn't have anything against the Jedi, and he has no reason to hate the Jedi. It's really just, like he's just like for himself, and he's like, well, he wants somebody strong to fight alongside him, and so he disposed of, where he had Vader dispose of the Master for him.
Iko Diodaki, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like wow, man, that was insane.
I just
Rich's face right now. I keep saying Iko Diodaki, and he's just like, it's just a death stare. Speaking of death stare, yeah, he was the leader of the Mandalorian Death Watch, that decided to, I guess they weren't getting paid enough, or they were doing like too many random like side quests, and they were just like, you know what? Nah, and they left. So Maul was losing followers left and right. You said something, Anthony, like he doesn't really hate the Jedi, and actually he says something, I forget the line exactly, but he says something along the lines of like he respects them, or he respects their order or like what they represented. And I think that's true. As just a Force user and an observer of the galaxy as a whole, I think he does respect the Jedi quite a bit. He's not ever going to be a Jedi. He's never going to fall in line with that teaching. But I think he regrets that they are no longer a part of the galaxy in the way that they were.
Yeah, he sees that what he was pretty much like set up to be is like a lot worse than like, you know, with the Jedi being around. Like everything is like, you can't, like, as somebody that's like below the ranks of like the Empire, like you really just can't do anything around them, or you know, you'll get arrested, straight to jail.
Straight to jail. So yeah, actually that's a good point, because like there are a lot of Force users in the galaxy, even with the Jedi gone, especially on the dark side. You have the Emperor, top honcho. You have Undersecretary Vader. Then you have the Grand Inquisitor, and then you have like who knows how many Inquisitors there are. They change the number every year, really. They add another one or two. So there's probably like 18 Inquisitors out there just chopping down Jedis. There's a lot of people with red sabers. And then there's Maul. And I kind of like that he's just this forgotten guy. You know, like he's the guy that the Emperor just didn't kill, even though he very clearly could have killed and enjoyed fighting in the Clone Wars. Like he was toying with Maul in the Clone Wars, man.
That was actually like an amazing. I love that fight sequence.
Yeah, but this is a guy who's literally just been forgotten. He's now scraping by with the dregs of society, trying to hold on to power through different syndicates, and I feel bad for him. I kind of do, because I know where this ends. Like, it doesn't end well for this guy. He's just, I think Sam Witwer put it best. He's a Sisyphus character where like he will always be pushing a rock up a mountain, you know, and he's never gonna get that rock to the peak. And yeah, Maul Shadow Lord, man, what a ride, what a rush. I'm just hoping we get more content with Master Iko Diodaki, just because I feel like I feel like he was cool, and he's a cool design too. I don't remember if we've ever had that specific species before, but it almost looked like a reptilian rat.
Like it kind of reminded me of the assassin that tried to kill Padme, that was like reptilian after it died. It took like a poison pill when Obi-Wan was chasing it from in Coruscant.
Oh no!
It's longer.
That was a changeling.
It's a what?
That was a changeling.
I think he is a she, and I think she is a changeling. Yeah. But
there was I do like when they pull something out like that, you know. And Anthony, you were talking about before. It's like really cool to see this like Maul progression, and I really think there's a credit to be given to the comic book writers that really, like, the comics are really what kind of like kept Darth Maul stewing, you know, and like kept him there for future use. And there's also a part of me here that thinks like, it's like there's certain things that they do, the modern Star Wars does so well, and one of them is oddly, because you would think that this doesn't normally work, right? But it's like when they're confined to, like, you know, like Rogue One or Andor, right? When they're confined within the lines, like, here are the parameters that you have to follow. This can't happen. This can't happen. They're like, bet we're going to be amazing, right? But when you're like, hey, you got all this freedom. They're like, I don't know. Let's go back and forth and not really be decisive. And I don't know. It's kind of odd to me.
I agree, and I think that that's one of the bigger things that is both a blessing and a curse for stuff like Rogue One, stuff like Andor, stuff like Maul. Perfect, like we have these confined stories, and I like the way that you put it, Rich, where they're in a box and they have to come up with a good story within that box. But then you have stuff like Book of Boba Fett, which I'm not really a fan of.
I know you really like compared to Obi-Wan, like has it supplanted?
Ahsoka is another show where I think it's a little too open-ended, and we don't really know where that story is going, and I think that kind of is a detriment to part of it. But I do think that that's the better show to Book of Boba Fett. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi is an interesting one because that one was a confined. That one is in a box, and I think they knocked it inside the park. They did not knock it out of the park.
Inside the park home run?
But no, it was a bunt.
Okay.
But they made it to first base, so
it's hard for me to comment. I don't know, Anthony. Can you help out? Because I think you need to be the deciding one here. Because I love me some Obi-Wan. Am I just misguided?
I mean, I think that some of the gripes of Obi-Wan are warranted, but I do think that there is I think that there is like some saving grace for that show. Especially Ewan, like who doesn't want to see Ewan McGregor reprise that role? But I'm not gonna sit here and be like Obi-Wan's worse than Book of Boba Fett. Nowhere near. Like literally nowhere near. Like Book of Boba Fett's towards the bottom. I would say Obi-Wan is like probably towards the middle, maybe a little bit above the middle.
Fair. All right.
Anyway, we our Padawan, which anyone with two eyes to see and an ear to hear.
What about two boots?
And two boots to wear. Could have noticed, like from the end of episode 1, that Maul's definitely going to try to be the tempter and pull this kid into his little fold. He throughout the entire thing, he's just like, bite the apple. He's not necessarily. He's maybe the devil is the wrong comparison here, because he's not actually the devil in this story. But he's definitely not a good influence. He's the devil on your shoulder.
He reminds me
of that.
Like,
he's that guy.
I don't know. I'm watching the Daredevil series, right? It's like the interaction between Frank Castle and Karen Page. Like, he doesn't make her evil, but like being around him goes like, oh, well, that evil is kind of logical, and I get why you do it, right? And that's almost that clings to you more in a way, right? Because it's not that, like, he's just at the end he just says to her, like, the offer is you can be more powerful so that you can do what you need to do and protect yourself. And that's almost more insidious than like this, like he's making like a survival skill that she needs to do it.
I liked the moment. I liked his like kind of. He had like a moment where it kind of reminded me of was it Dark Knight Rises when Batman was fighting Bane and he was like hiding in the shadows.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah. And occasionally,
yeah.
you could
When
see
he
him in the shadows.
he wasn't like fighting Devin, but he was like hiding in the shadows. Just gave me those vibes. It was it was just done better. Like in this,
you know what the surprising connection between this show and another Star Wars property was for me. I mean, it shouldn't be surprising because it's heavily hinted at in this other property, but Solo: A Star Wars Story. Like they really heavily.
Yes, I got that too.
They really heavily pulled from that story to connect this story to. And in the, between the comics, certain books, and now Maul Shadow Lord, we have kind of like this sub universe of stories that revolve around the Crimson Dawn side of the universe. We have Dryden Voss here picking up Maul. We know that later Maul is running Crimson Dawn. We know that Kira in the comics later runs Crimson Dawn. And she becomes like a huge thorn in the Emperor's side in the comics, that between Empire and Return of the Jedi. But I just think it's so cool that even though they don't currently have any plans to make a Solo 2, they have found ways to utilize the unfinished stories and create compelling narratives in multiple directions. They have a prequel novel with Kira. They have that multi-arc comic series that was a big crossover event with Kira called Crimson Reign. Now we have like Maul's side of the story with it's a prequel to Solo Star Wars story in a way, where he's becoming acquainted with Dryden Voss and Crimson Dawn. I love that this is such an interconnected world. And one thing that Star Wars in particular is nauseatingly good at is timeline management. Like, they do not get it wrong. There have been issues where they retcon things, but in terms of your average Star Wars content, they got their timeline on lock. They know exactly where everything is at in the universe. And I don't think I know of another franchise that does it better than Star Wars does it.
One Piece.
Do you think they
One Piece?
They really kind of get all of the juice they can out of having a good timeline? Do you get that feeling just that they're squeezing all the juice out of having an effective timeline?
Actually, going back, Anthony, you mentioned One Piece. The only thing that I would say there is that that's one long narrative, whereas Star Wars is hundreds of different little stories, but they all fit like a puzzle. And that's what I mean by timeline management, in terms of just franchise collecting.
It is and it isn't, because One Piece is one long narrative, but there's a lot of small little narratives that are kind of interconnected. Yeah, they're kind of going forward, but then you have different the different characters have different motivations, and there's callbacks to things that seemed like they were one-offs. So they kind of, they when I say their timeline is tight, it's stuff that was done 20 years ago. They find a way to fit it in, even in the present. Right now they're in Elbaf. They did Elbaf a long time ago.
Speaking of Elbaf and One Piece, in that show or in that series, they have devil fruits. I don't think there are fruits in Maul, but I can make the exception because it is a quite juicy story.
There's that sludge that they were the acidic sludge. Remember?
How could I forget the acidic sludge? And you know what? I'm sure that when Two Boots had to take his two boots off, I'm sure there was a lot of residual oil and stuff in there that, just how long has he been wearing those two boots for? Extremely juicy feet from this droid. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Guys, we have a little segment here where we get on our knees and beg for your 5-star review, a juicy 5-star review, if you will. You don't have to actually use the word juice, but we will know if it's a juicy one just based on what you have to say. So thank you for those of you who have complied. And may the juice be with you.
May the juice be with you.
Wait a minute. Did the show not begin with Devin disobeying Master Iko Diodaki to steal fruit?
You're correct.
Juicy, dude. Yeah, she got immediately thrown in jail. She was incredibly bad. Like her proficiency in stealth and was just not good.
She rolled a nat 1 on that one.
It'd be a crime if we didn't mention somebody before we end today. Vario is my favorite character. He's tiny and squirrely and then randomly like brave, but he shouldn't be, you know, like when he like goes to try to like square off against the stormtroopers, and he's like, okay, you got this, and he like talks himself up, and then, you know, I just I really like this character. I thought he's kind of like the comic relief a little bit.
I liked Vario a lot as well. I do have a question. When he goes to the Pikes and he is saying, you know, he has this undermined plot to betray Maul. Is he in it with Maul to pretend that he's taking down Maul? Yeah, that's what they.
When I watched it over,
because they never really explained it.
The way, like, he takes down Maul, and then he's like, you know, tell him that I took him down. You know, like that. For some reason, something about the way he said that, and then them being chummy later, I was like, oh no. He had this set up. This was Maul's plan all along to kind of get in there and then like face off against the Pikes. Like it was, you know, like the way that Palpatine sent, you know, like, oh, don't worry, my new apprentice will take care of you type thing. You know, it was, I think it was all a ruse.
I feel like Maul would have addressed it big time if it was like a true,
right? Like
if it was a true betrayal. Like Maul probably I would have been like, okay, yeah,
that's know what though, at the same time, if anyone's gonna ignore betrayal, it would also be Maul. You know, like he's the kind of guy that's just like, he'll just look at you and be like, all right, let's continue.
Well, but he would have said something like very sly and very eloquently about it.
Yeah, like a little line, a one-liner.
Yeah, you're right.
Say something. Say something that he would say, Dakota.
Well done, Vario. But you didn't have to shoot my other dude. You didn't have to stun my guy. Anyway, Rich, before the show, you mentioned that you had a parallel. To another show.
So it was just that we had done Major League a couple weeks ago. And I was so excited that, like, when I looked up the names, I thought I recognized. Of course, I know Dennis Haysbert's voice better as Pedro Serrano, right? So when I heard it, I was like, "Wait a minute!" When I looked it up, I was like, "No way!" Like, it's so weird that we just, because, you know, there aren't a lot of Dennis Haysbert projects that all of us are going to end up watching. So the fact that we watched 2 of his projects in the span of a month is kind of weird, wacky, and kooky.
That's a strange world we live in, folks. But yeah, he ended up playing Master Iko Diodaki.
This guy is such a flexer over here. Look at me, I can remember names.
It's such a fun name to say. I don't know why you people won't
That's
join
like
me.
when you start at work somewhere and somebody like learns your name really quickly, but you don't know theirs, and it feels like they're flexing on you every time they see you. They're like, "Good morning, Dakota. Good to see you, Dakota." And you're like, "Okay, you're being very aggressive with my name. Could you just stop showing off that you know it?" Because I usually just go,
See, they only do it because they know it bothers you. when you just like not don't care, then they stop.
A little secret about me is I've never mastered the art of I don't care.
Tisk, Mister. I'm Mister Old Man, as you like to proudly say.
All right, so guys, we're covering Godzilla King of the Monsters next week for episode 162. That's a 2019 movie starring Millie Bobby Brown.
And what's my homework before that? Just so.
Yes, so you're going to be covering, or you're going to be watching Godzilla 2014 by Gareth Edwards and Kong Skull Island.
Godzilla, Kong.
Oh yeah, we did cover that, right?
We did Skull Island. We actually I think we really liked it. Like I think we weren't expecting to like it as much as we did, but we really liked it.
Okay, Godzilla 2014 and Skull Island.
And
Kong Skull Island.
And then Godzilla King of the Monsters, right? Or is there something else? So 3?
Godzilla King of the Monsters is the one that we're actually covering. Yeah.
Right. So it would be 3 that he can.
Yeah, basically, if you can. So there's also a show called Skull Island. That's not what we're talking about.
Should I watch that too?
That is connected, but it's if we ever cover that, that'll be a later MonsterVerse episode. So Kong Skull Island, Godzilla 2014, and Godzilla King of the Monsters.
I'm down.
I'm very excited. Oh. Yeah. Rich has no knowledge of the Godzilla universe.
I want to give you guys... we'll talk about that after show. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Guys, thank you so much for listening to us here for episode 161 of Project Geekology. I don't want to do my Maul voice because my throat hurts, but he says goodbye.
Bye.
The Wolverine.
Ah, yes. Master Iko Diodaki.